Design Notes is a show from Google Design about creative work and what it teaches us. Each episode, we'll talk with people from unique creative fields to discover what inspires and unites us in our practice.
Hello and welcome to Design Notes. I'm your guest host, Aaron Lammer. I taped this interview at SPAN 2017 in Pittsburgh this fall. I talked to Madeline Gannon about Mimus, the robot she designs and programs.
So this robot is a standard industrial robot, like the same ones that you would find on a car factory. And what I've done is I've programmed it to have more lifelike, personable behaviors.
We got to talk about her approach to designing robots.
I describe it almost like you're working with a creature, and it's a machinic creature, but a creature nonetheless. So if she's sniffing you out and investigating you and you stand there and do nothing, she's going to get bored, just like animals at the zoo, and go check out someone else.
Madeline leads ATONATON Studios, which is right here in Pittsburgh, and in her spare non-robotics time, she does research into wearables. Here she is, Madeline Gannon.
Hi, Aaron.
I went to sleep last night after your presentation yesterday, like in a sort of like a vague, I wouldn't say I had a dream about your robot, but it was in my dream, like my pre-dream thoughts. Okay, so you run a studio called
ATONATON.
And you made a robot. What is the robot's name?
My robot is Mimus. So this robot is a standard industrial robot, like the same ones that you would find on a car factory. Mm-hmm. And what I've done is I've programmed it to have more lifelike, personable behaviors.
So physically describe Mimus for me, for someone who has not seen a car construction robot before.
So this is a 1-ton machine, just a big pile of steel and motors. It weighs 1,200 kilograms, moves 7 meters per second, can hold 300 kilograms to a millimeter of precision. So this machine is meant to do spot welding on car chassis or precision painting in factories. It's not really thought of as a thing that should be used in real time. These things are usually pre-programmed to do short, repetitive tasks over and over again. They have really boring lives.
So where did you get Mimus? How does one acquire a Mimus?
The thing, you go to the store, and if you can carry it out, you get to keep it. No, so I've been fortunate enough to work with amazing partners who have these resources.
So you have the studio, ATONATON, which is very cool looking from what I've seen.
Thank you.
And you bring home your foster animal for the first time at a default firmware level. What comes on Mimus before you start working on Mimus?
An industrial robot is the mechanical parts of it, the bits and bots of the motors around the joints and the struts in between, and then it has a brain, this control box that has its own software for controlling those lower level things like motors. So the work that I do basically just opens up that brain and lets me tinker around in it. So I put some code on this control box that just listens for constant information and commands from me. So rather than being this closed black box system, I made a little doorway into it that I can send and stream information in real time.
Do you have a preference as to whether I refer to Mimus as he, she, or anything of that variety?
Well, I call her a she.
She? Okay.
That's the way that I think about her.
Okay, let's go with she.
Okay.
I want to speak about Mimus in your native cadence. So Mimus's brain is an alchemy of code that was already part of Mimus when you got Mimus, and code that you've written on top of that.
Exactly.
So some of the car welding Mimus is still there.
Definitely.
Do you end up disabling portions of the original way that Mimus works?
For me, I think the important thing is to embrace this. When I think about this machine, I describe it almost like you're working with a creature, and it's a machinic creature, but a creature nonetheless. So to work with their idiosyncrasies. So Mimus's movement is a little bit jerky, sometimes because this thing is not designed to respond in real time. There can be some latency in me sending a command and the robot doing things. So as a designer, I sort of embrace these limitations as a quality of the personality of this machine. And I try to work with them as best I can to really bring to life this individual personality of this robot.
So tell me what your goal was with Mimus, and tell me how that was implemented at a software level.
For me, the goal of it was really to make an opportunity for people who may have never seen this amazing machine that's probably made the thing that they drove in today. Give them an opportunity to come face to face and really cut through some of the hyperbole that we hear in the media about robots taking our jobs or robot overlords, and let them have a face-to-face conversation with this incredible machine. Now, that being said, I think my stance in it was very neutral. I tried to show that this piece of hardware that's really just taken off the shelf can be reframed with a little bit of clever software and duct tape to bring it to life in a new way, to show a sort of alternative vision of what we could do with these machines if we so desired.
The word I would use to describe the interactions I saw with Mimus, and these videos are on the internet, right? Someone who's listening to this can Google Mimus
Definitely.
and see Mimus. Okay.
Definitely, yeah.
When Mimus is interacting, and this is in the exhibition capacity, I don't know anything about the private studio life of Mimus, but in the exhibition capacity, it reminded me a little bit of being at a zoo, and some animals you see at the zoo don't care at all about you. And sometimes an animal will kind of come up to the glass and you'll be like, whoa, it's curious about me. Tell me about how Mimus expresses that idea of curiosity.
So that was something that I really tried to emphasize, that this machinic creature is the first time that you might be visiting them. And it reminded me of the first time you might see a giraffe in real life. It's just, you might see it on television, but when you're face to face with it, when you can hear it, when you can smell it and sense it, it's a whole nother beast. So we definitely played up that motif in the actual experiential design of visiting Mimus at the Design Museum in London. So the idea of pulling out and a personality with her was to play off this idea of curiosity. That the people who are visiting her, it's a bit of a spectacle. She's loud, a little obnoxious, and what I wanted to show is that she is equally curious about us as we are about her. So there's some ways that we can do that in the interaction design. One of the challenges and actually benefits of working with this robot is that there's a really restricted material palette to communicate these emotions. You have her pose, you have her posture, and you have the sound of her motors. And through those three things, we can build a basic body language that's quite natural to this machine in its kinematics and how it moves. So some of the things that I did to sort of elicit a sense of curiosity was when you're far away from Mimus, she looks at you from above, so above your head height. And sometimes that can seem like a very frightening thing when this 1,200 kilogram beast of a machine is looming over you. It can feel very threatening. As you come closer, she switches and becomes below your head height and sort of sniffs up at you like an excited puppy and jitters a little more.
I felt a sense of empathy for Mimus. What kind of reactions do you get from people to Mimus out in the wild?
I mean, it was really incredible to see. I worked 10 hours a day, 12 hours a day to bring this robot to life for about 2 months, and then she's out in the wild and on a different continent.
Yeah.
So really checking in. I had nanny cams to check in on her remotely, but seeing things from social media, for example, and how people were responding was pretty wild. So there was a whole range of emotions that we were able to elicit, which I was hoping for diversity of reactions. I didn't have any prescribed goals for it. So from friendly curiosity was one thing to people bringing little items and gifts and kissing the glass and tapping on the glass. And kids really loved it right away. We favored the algorithm for Mimus to look for shorter people. So that it would go to children first and get them engaged. And some also some distrust and some creepiness about this overtly dangerous machine that could somehow seem so cute. Like, how easy are our emotions manipulated that we project our feelings onto this thing?
Does Mimus learn?
In the current state, Mimus doesn't learn. So we do some machine learning to do some gesture recognition. So for example, if you're really, really excited, you can steal her attention away from someone else. So that gesture that I looked for through the sensors is basically waving your arms up and down and hopping up and down.
The kind of like I need to pee kind of move.
A little bit, yeah, exactly. Like, come see me. And that assumption is like, I should mention that Mimus also has a bored timer. So if she's sniffing you out and investigating you and you stand there and do nothing, she's going to get bored, just like animals at the zoo, and go check out someone else. So getting really excited is a way to steal her attention as well as keep her attention for longer.
What was unexpected about Mimus out in the world that you didn't see coming when she was just in your studio?
I think for me, one of the pleasures that I have is how close the museum staff got with the robot. And they had a little send-off for her when the exhibition closed, and the director forwarded me a thread of like goodbye letters to me. So there was a real caring for her, which again, it's poetic and lovely, but in a Machiavellian way, it meant that my interactive installation got taken really great care of remotely. But so it's a really interesting tread to walk, to try to elicit emotions without really manipulating emotions. But that was a really unexpected thing. Also, people who visited her multiple times was really nice, and that was something that was really pleasurable.
How did you get interested in robots in the first place? Did it start when you were a kid?
Not really. I mean, I've always liked sci-fi, and robotics to me is something that I've only fallen into recently.
Oh, okay. So tell me what you were doing before you got
architecture.
Architecture.
My technical training is in architecture, and the last year of my master's at my university, my university got this CNC router, which is a machine that you can connect to a computer, and it can carve out material with a bit that spins out, like a drill press on a machine. So for me, that was the first time that I could take my very classical architecture education in 3D imagining and 3D modeling environments in a computer and actually translate them out into the physical world. And that sense of instantaneous translation was really empowering and intoxicating, that I really quickly hit the limits of what I could do with this machine that was really designed for carpenters. So I was, shoving pens instead of carving tools and experimenting with things and all these, using materials that I wasn't supposed to. And what I came to the conclusion is that the biggest limit for my creativity to working with this machine is that I had to communicate it through software that was designed for other people. So that's when I decided to sort of jump into this rabbit hole to learn how to program, learn how to talk to these machines, and to see how we can sort of blur the boundary between our imagination and our digital creativity and the physical world. How
does one start learn? I mean, wouldn't even know what programming language you would start with if you were trying to make a Mimus.
So for robots and specifically, one of the challenges of working with them is that each robotics manufacturer has their own proprietary language for their machine. So a lot of it is just investing time, and they're also for the industrial robots, they're so far behind in how they share knowledge. It's usually you have 15 PDFs with little pieces of information that you have to control F and find random things. And it's a lot of headaches. That's one of the reasons why I built a back massaging robot, was because it was just so stressful to program it. I needed some tension release. But that's one of the big draws that brought me here to Pittsburgh. as a robotics capital of North America, it was an amazing playground to start to experiment.
Yeah, I was wondering, like, what's the robotics community like here? Are, like, other people coming to see Mimus and they're like, you can come see my Mimus over here?
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty incredible here. You know, you go to a coffee shop and you hear people talking about, oh, you know, my encoder on my joint isn't really doing well. It's, oh, well, my gasket's viscosity isn't quite. It's just the conversations that happen here are so nerdy and so interesting and so diverse and kind of odd that everyone is in their own deep well of knowledge.
So what are your plans with ATONATON? Where does one go with a robotics studio, if that's how you define it?
We do a lot of work with robotics, and I think for me, what I try to focus on is sort of scouting underexplored territories in technology and how technology connects with people. So a lot of that is translating a lot of the energy and intelligence that's happening in the virtual world into physical, tangible experiences. So we explore many topics outside of robotics, for example, wearables and 3D printing and fabrication, and all these things that can begin to break down barriers between our imagination and what we can actually physically produce.
Tell me about the decision to not have a face.
Yeah, it's naked. It's in
naked.
the raw. Like, even for people who work with industrial robots on a daily basis, they probably haven't seen one like Mimus without something on the end of it doing something.
Yeah.
So it was a really concerted decision to keep her in the raw, in her element.
Yeah.
And a part of that is sort of to be a little bit of a contrarian to how robotics are dealt today. Is you have a really cool robot, it has to work with people. So you slap a screen on it, and maybe it has some eyeballs that looks at things. And to me, that is just such a missed opportunity to really explore the natural lifelikeness of this thing that is articulate and can move in the world and act in the world, because we interact with things in our daily life, like, for example, our pets, that they don't look like us, but we can communicate with them in a really intuitive way, sometimes trained ways, but there's that one-way relationship with them that we can negotiate one another in a shared space and enjoy each other's company.
What have the most negative reactions you've gotten to your project been?
Certainly like that's creepy. That this is not good. That this is not the future I want.
Yeah.
Which is those, to me, they're not negative. That those are incredibly valid emotions to have.
Yeah.
And that those are necessary to come to the surface so we can decide how this is as a society.
Yeah. I mean, you kind of have to feel a little bit like if someone had a very visceral reaction to what you've done, you have to feel a little proud that you
I was going
caused
to say,
a visceral
like
reaction.
the negative reactions are like, meh.
Robot's boring.
Yeah.
So where do you go from here? What's next?
I actually just added a new robot to my family.
Oh.
So it's a much smaller robot, and it can travel a lot easier, packs up into some crates. So I
You've
can
designed
actually
a robot that can fit into an overhead compartment.
Just about.
Yeah.
So I am doing a lot of work with that. I've actually been working with some film directors about how to make sentient machines as useful tools for them, and some other stuff that hopefully will come to the surface soon. And for me, it's just robotics is certainly a passion, and I think it's an interesting topic that is underexplored, and I'm always keeping my nose searching for the next underexplored territory.
Excellent. Well, thank you so much for this interview. This was super interesting.
Oh, my pleasure.
Where can people who want to know more about Mimus or want to know more about your studio find you?
Yeah, that's great. My website is atonaton.com, ATONATON.com. And you can also Google Madeline Robot Whisperer.
Mimus is MIMUS.
Yes,
if you're looking for just for Mimus. So, thanks.
Thank you.
And that was Design Notes. I was your guest host, Aaron Lammer. I taped this at SPAN 2017 this fall in Pittsburgh. Design Notes is presented by Google Design. It's normally hosted by Liam Spradlin, who perhaps can give us an idea what this show is normally like.
So normally, I would say it's pretty close. We have guests from a variety of different creative disciplines, and we look for the commonalities running through all design work and just the different ways that we approach those from each discipline.
Thanks, Liam. You can find out more about Design Notes and perhaps even subscribe at design.google/podcasts. You also can subscribe to the newsletter at design.google/subscribe. I want to send a huge thanks to everyone who helped make SPAN happen. There are going to be 4 episodes taped at the SPAN 2017 conference in Pittsburgh. I encourage you to check them all out. Thank you for listening.